We all look for them. 2 for the price of 1. Buy one, get one free. BOGO sales. Half off your next purchase. We all love a good deal, especially us gardeners, and saving money up front is great. But getting more than you bargained for in the end is even better. Conversely though, growing our veggies can be hard work. We dedicate no small amount of time, space, effort, and sometimes money in search of that epic harvest. No question that the bounty, once collected, makes it all worth the effort. But what if I told you there were crops out there that could give us double the harvest? And I'm not talking about crops where you harvest the same part of the plant over and over again, like I could with this lettuce here using the cut and come again method. What I'm talking about are crops that produce more than one viable product in their lifespan. Through no extra effort on your part, you could literally double your gardening profits just by choosing to plant these kind of crops this year. I got 6 of these crops lined up for us today, and they're all super easy to grow. Look, with food and grocery prices climbing and the cost of things consistently going up, we could use a little 2-for-1 in our gardens right now. It's always been the case that some crops are simply more lucrative than others. Whether they have a quick turnaround time like radishes and peas, or whether they're so productive like cherry tomatoes and zucchinis. Some crops are just more profitable than others, and tops on that list of returns are plants that are harvested for more than one product. Plants such as this beet here. As delicious and sought after as that taproot is, the foliage is also tasty and very, very good for us. Eaten raw in salads or cooked in stir fries, beet greens are a crop unto themselves, rather than just a simple bonus. Because beet greens and Swiss chard are essentially the same thing. They're the same species, different varieties bred for different traits. So if you're going to grow one, you might as well grow beets for double the value. Moving along, we have cilantro. Now, most herbs are already quite lucrative to grow, as they can be harvested over and over. And, as we all know, fresh herbs beat out the limp grocery store stock every time. But cilantro takes it a step further when it goes to flower and seed, which is kind of ironic because usually when an herb goes to flower and seed, that's the end of its life. But like all plants on this list, cilantro has a second crop. Its seeds. Known as coriander in North America, cilantro seeds are used in a wide variety of dishes and baked goods. The plant itself is initially a very lush, very aromatic green herb. It grows fast and it's very productive. And while this is great at first, cilantro is one of the quickest herbs to bolt, or flower, either by burning itself out or from the slightest environmental cue. You see, when herbs set their flowers, that lush green foliage tends to become bitter and inedible. Fortunately for cilantro, however, these guys' seeds are just as sought after, giving the plant a new lease on life. So instead of having to compost the plant and immediately start over, we collect those seeds. We want those seeds not only for the next batch of cilantro, but also for that next great meal. Next on our list of double duty crops are onions. Not for these flowers here, which are awesome for the pollinators, but for what the flowers are attached to. These most famous alliums make it into nearly every culinary culture, from Asia to North America to Europe and beyond. Raw or fried, diced or in rings, onions will always be a dietary staple. And although the flowers are completely edible, it's the green shoots we're after. Long before those bulbs are ready to eat, onions are putting out green shoots. Green shoots that are not only edible, they're tasty and a little bit milder than the main harvest. They're essentially a large equivalent of green onions or scallions, and they're great raw or cooked. Care does need to be taken, however, not to harvest too much of them, as that can affect the bulb size of the final harvest. The timing really works out though, because the shoots of the onion plant are seriously failing at the time of the bulb harvest. So, collect your onion greens early on when they're smaller and tastier. At number 4, we have one of the largest groups of vegetable crops that we grow, but I've singled out just one of them, and that's broccoli. As a member of the brassica family of plants, like this dinosaur kale here, broccoli has the most wonderful dual crop. We all know about that large fruiting head of broccoli. Absolutely delicious steamed with a little butter and a little salt. But what many don't know is that broccoli leaves are completely edible as well, tasting much the same as this kale here or collard greens. They can be eaten raw or cooked before or even after that fruiting head has been harvested. Letting nothing go to waste, the duality of a broccoli harvest is really efficient in its usage and versatile in its possibilities. Here's an old broccoli plant that I've let go to seed. I'm not going to be eating any of these leaves here, but the more of these whole plant harvest crops that we can grow, the more profitable our garden's going to be. Coming in at number 5, we have zucchinis. Although you couldn't tell here from this poor specimen that was just recently transplanted, zucchinis are massively productive plants whose elongated fruit harvests are the stuff of legend. The more you pick, the more they produce. Grown in containers or raised beds, gardeners rarely complain about inadequate zucchini harvests. But as productive as those harvests are, the plant is about to get even more bountiful when we realize that the flowers are edible as well. And they're not just edible, they're considered by many to be a delicacy. Baked, roasted, stuffed or fried, zucchini flower dishes are amazing. Both the male and female flowers can be eaten, but as the actual zucchinis arise from only the female blossoms, it's the male ones that are most often used. They're easily distinguishable from a female one as they occur on a long skinny stalk, instead of the shorter ones that quickly reveal an unmistakable zucchini forming. And the great thing is, once pollination occurs, no matter how many of those male blossoms you take, you're still going to get a great zucchini harvest. And finally, we have the last crop on our list, and that's garlic. Another type of allium, garlic is close cousins with the onion. And it's also grown for its bulbous modified underground stems, the garlic bulb. Universally one of the most popular flavorings, garlic is a long crop, planted in the fall, grown over winter, and harvested the following summer, nearly 10 months later. After the harvest, garlic is hung to dry, cured and cleaned, and it's ready to be stored for up to 6 months. An amazing plant that's even more amazing because those dried bulbs contain the cloves that are then replanted to become next year's harvest. It's a perpetual cycle continued indefinitely, making garlic a self-sufficient superstar with no equal. Hey, for more on garlic and other self-sufficient crops, check out the video in the top right corner there, where I pick 5 of the best ones that are all grown from the harvest itself. Okay, back to the garlic. Like most alliums, the foliage itself is completely edible, tasting like a milder version of the main harvest. Again, like the onions, you'll want to harvest those shoots early, and no more than 20 to 30% of the total foliage. You'll want to harvest some shoots early because that's when they're the tastiest, and you don't want to harvest too many of them as that can really affect the main objective, which is that bulb. And if that wasn't enough, garlic takes the dual crop thing one step further, and it produces a third harvest, the garlic scapes. Scapes are the flowering heads of hardneck garlic, and they're considered a delicacy. Truly delicious, garlic scapes appear about 2 months before the garlic bulbs are collected. Like all flowers, they're a drain on the plant, so they're always removed well before the harvest. The fact that these are edible and that they're coming off the plant anyways is just icing on the trifecta cake that is garlic. Truly a prolific crop. 3 clear harvests is definitely getting our money's worth. So even though garlic is a long one to grow, getting rewarded multiple times over really makes it all worthwhile. What a great bunch of crops. Multiple harvests off a single planting like lettuce or basil is great, but for multiple actual crops within a single planting, well, that's even better. All right, plants are amazing. And hopefully with these 6 crops here, we've given you some ideas on how to make your garden more profitable, especially this year, because we need it. So I wish you all the success. Happy growing and happy harvesting. And I'll see you in the next one. Hey, thanks so much for watching, guys. I appreciate the support more than you know. And if you're getting value from these videos, please like and share them to spread the word and help your fellow gardener to grow better.